Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is KGK Revealed with another video for SoulCalibur 5 character creations. This time around, I want to switch it up. We did a lot of Marvel recently, but how about some RPGs? In particular, I want to take a turn to the Final Fantasy series. Let's do Cloud Strife. And usually people try to do him, but they have problems doing his hair. Now we're going to get to that issue. First, I'm going to show you my final copy for Cloud Strife. Yeah, I got the spike. At least I think I got the spike. So basically for this one, well, it's pretty simple, but I'll explain the hair later on because you might have your opinions about it. But let's get to the basics. First off, let's start with his body. For the most part, Cloud wasn't skinny, but he definitely wasn't brolic. I mean, in the old game he had the square body, so no one really knew what he was, but you kind of do now. It's basically set everything to 12, because that way it gives him the average build, and put his muscle mass to roughly, I'd say 2. He never looked cut up to me, but he had that shape. Next, set his face to 20. For the hairstyle, give him short untidy. For the eyebrows, I gave him 8. And for the voice, I used Veteran Knight 4 and 4. No manifestation. For equipment, change the undergarments to the sleeveless top. The holster body for the upper body covering. And for the lower body equipment, give him the Arabian slacks. The reason for this is because if you give him regular pants, they look like regular pants. Cloud did not have on regular pants. He had those little baggy things that were kind of cool. Give him the Arabian slacks because it gives him that look for how he had it in Final Fantasy VII, and you want that. For the hip equipment, he always had on that like belt, but they don't exactly have that, so I got as close as I could by using the Warlord's belt. For the arm equipment, give him the large bandages. And some people are probably saying, why the hell would you give him bandages? We'll explain that when we get to the stickers part. For the shoulder equipment, give him the steel pauldrons. Pretty obvious to any Final Fantasy fans. For the feet, we're going to give him the leather shoes. We can't give him boots because for whatever reason they don't have the right boots. So the leather shoes will work just as well. For the special equipment, this is important because this is the only way I can forge the hair. I gave him a horn and I gave him the crescent moon. Now the horn is essentially for the spiky part, where the crescent moon is for that one part that sticks on the side of his head. The numbers I use for the horn, I set the equipped location to the head, obviously. And for the numbers, horizontal is at 8. I set vertical to -30. I put back to 6, width to 50, length to 50, depth to 0, and the rotation on the vertical axis 32, on the horizontal 12, and the angle is set to 46. So I'll go back up so you can see the numbers slowly, and you can put it into your own character customization screen. For the crescent moon, set to the same location. However, the horizontal is at -13. I set vertical to -34. I put it back to 0. Width I set to 28. I set the length to 0. And I set the depth to 6. Rotate vertically is at 0. Rotate horizontally is at 161. And the angle is at 180. So that's for the equipment. The weapon style, give him Siegfried style. It works way better than Nightmares. He holds the sword with 2 hands, big sword. Unfortunately, I could not try to do the Buster sword. So I went to the next best thing, his ultimate weapon, the Ultima weapon. I used the Calibur. Don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah. For the equipment effects, I gave him the Angel Pack because in Avid Children, you know, Step Forth has his wings, Cloud has his wings. So I thought Angel Pack would work for Cloud. Now here's where it gets really good. Let's do the colors. I set the skin to 265, where I set the hair to 9914. I'm telling you the exact numbers because you may want the exact numbers. So make sure you set the hair to 9914, but the eyebrows, set the eyebrows separately to 9924. If you don't, then when you see him win, his eyebrows are gonna glow in your face. It's gonna look really ugly. So set it to 9924, else your Cloud's gonna look like a clown. So make sure you do that. The eyes, I gave him blue eyes. They go towards, green-ish, or like the light blue color. Mine's personally I set to 8, 39, 12. And yet again, if you saw the previous video about Strider, the pupil set to 0, 0, 0 to get focus on his eyes. For the equipment, the undergarments, if you don't notice, in one of the pictures I saw for Cloud, his undergarments actually, like, the top piece is more of a sweater. So what I did was I gave him a pattern. I gave him basic 3. And I used basic 3. With that pattern, I colored the first one to 9031. And the second color I put to 94629. This way it looks like he's wearing a sweater because you can see the lines. Even as you rotate, the lines have a different appeal on your eyes. So like on your own perception, it just looks like he's wearing a sweater. At least in my opinion. For the upper body covering, I set the harness color to 9625. And I set the second to solid black 9031. The last I kept the same, that golden yellow. For the lower body equipment, the first color you set to the same as the top color, 94331. The second color, well, that's supposed to be affecting the belt. Fortunately, they cover that. But if he loses his equipment, you can see it. So you may want to set it to the same thing, 94331. So that yet again, that's up to you. You don't have to do it. Now the belt, I set the belt to solid black, saturation at 1, 031. Now for the arm equipment, we set the bandages to brown, a dark brown, 9630. And here's the reason why we use bandages. If you look at his pictures, he has on some kind of bandage under the gloves. So if you just give him the gloves, it doesn't exactly work. This way it looks like he has the bandages underneath, even though the whole time in actual reality, it's actually just one set. It's a little trick that we have to use so we get that Cloud appeal. For the shoulder equipment, set the pauldron colors to 33711. You want to get that bluish look because the shoulder pauldrons are not gray. They're not. They have like a blue color, like blue steel. So set to 33711. The lower the saturation, the closer it looks to solid metal. For the shoes, first color is at 9527. And the second color I didn't change. I kept it the same. But if you want, you could put it at 9527 as well. It should work the same way. Matter of fact, it actually looks better. I'll keep it like that. 9527 it is. Now here's the important part. The hair color. For the hair color, you want to do the horn. The problem with the horn is, if you don't notice by now, there's a difference between the color of the horn and the head. So that's still something I'm working on more. I want the complete solid color, but this is the closest I can get. I set the horn color to 9911. Any other color I use, for some reason for me, it doesn't really work out. So if anyone can find a color that matches better, or even a color that, if you can, completely perfectly blends, let me know so I can put that on the video. Now the second one works better than the horn, the crescent moon. The crescent moon, we set the crescent moon's color to 9910. That one seems to blend in almost perfectly with the hair. And that's for the color. The last thing you have to worry about is the stickers. Now here's what you do with the stickers for the bandages. You go to the arm equipment, and we pick motif 3, basically the square. We set the color of the square to white. Now if you notice, the top part of each side of the gloves is set to white. So location put to left arm. The funny trick about this is that even though you only selected the left arm, the sticker actually applies to both arms. So you're actually doing 2 in 1. Now what you do is you focus the sticker to the top part of the glove and you set the size to maximum. By setting the size to its absolute max, you actually make the stickers wrap around the arm so it actually looks like a complete rotation. You cannot see the line because there is no longer a line that separates one part of the sticker from the next. It's now a complete joined entity. So from there, set it to white and put it towards the top portion of the glove. Make sure both sides are actually going to be the exact same, so you don't have to worry about differences with the size of one glove to the next. From there on, the last thing is the weapon. I set the blade of the weapon to 3, 35, 15. The second color I set to 5, 0, 24. The third color I set to 9, 8, 29. And the last color I set to 8, 5, 26. For the weapon trail, I use 9, 34, 12 because if his sword is going to be blue, give him a blue weapon trail. It gives a glow effect to the weapon when he slashes. It looks better. And that's Cloud in a nutshell. Basically what you have to do to get a pretty close looking Cloud Strife. So that's it for this character series video for the Final Fantasy portion. This is KGK Revealed of KGKProductionz. I want you